Welcome back. Today I want to share a story that is simple, real, and deeply powerful. It's the story of a girl who reached moments where giving up felt easier than continuing, where doubt spoke louder than hope, yet she made one decision that changed everything. She refused to give up on herself. From the outside, her life didn't look special. She wasn't born into comfort or surrounded by endless opportunities. Her world was shaped by limitations, expectations, and quiet struggles that most people never noticed. From a young age, she learned to adjust instead of dream, to stay quiet instead of speaking boldly. People around her often decided who she was before she had the chance to discover it herself. At school, she tried her best, but her best was rarely celebrated. When she succeeded, it was seen as luck. When she failed, it was treated as proof that she wasn't good enough. Slowly, those opinions began to sink in. She started to see herself through the eyes of others. She questioned her intelligence, her abilities, and her worth. Confidence faded, replaced by fear of making mistakes and fear of being judged. As she grew older, life became heavier. Responsibilities increased, but support did not. She watched others move forward while she felt stuck in the same place. Every attempt to improve her life seemed to end in disappointment. Plans fell apart. Opportunities slipped through her fingers. Rejection became familiar. And with each setback, a quiet voice inside her whispered that maybe this was all she was meant to be. There were nights when she cried silently, not because she wanted sympathy, but because she felt tired of fighting herself. She was tired of pretending she was strong when she felt broken. She was tired of hoping when hope kept hurting her. Giving up didn't mean failure to her anymore, it felt like rest. It felt like peace. She considered it seriously. What if she stopped trying? What if she accepted an ordinary life without dreams? What if she stopped believing in herself the way others already had? It would be easier. No expectations. No disappointment. No more pain of effort without reward. But then there was something she couldn't ignore. A small but powerful feeling that refused to disappear. Even when she felt empty, it stayed with her. It wasn't loud or confident. It didn't promise success. It simply said, try one more time. And that became her turning point. She didn't suddenly become fearless. She didn't wake up motivated every day. What changed was her decision. She decided that even if she failed again, she wouldn't abandon herself. Even if no one believed in her, she would try to believe just enough to keep going. She made a promise that no matter how hard things got, she wouldn't be the one to give up on her own life. She started small, very small, small goals, small efforts, small steps forward. She stopped waiting for the perfect moment and began using the imperfect ones she already had. Some days she moved forward. Some days she barely moved at all. But she learned that consistency mattered more than speed. Doubt didn't disappear. In fact, it followed her closely. Every time she tried something new, fear reminded her of past failures. Every time she felt hopeful, anxiety warned her not to expect too much. But this time, instead of listening, she acknowledged those feelings and kept moving anyway. She learned that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. There were moments when she fell back into old habits of self-criticism. Moments when one mistake felt like proof that she hadn't changed. But instead of quitting, she paused, reflected, and continued. She stopped punishing herself for being human. She stopped expecting perfection. Progress became her focus. Slowly, something shifted inside her. She began to trust herself again. Not because she was winning, but because she was trying. Each time she showed up for herself, her confidence grew a little stronger. She realized that self-belief isn't built through success alone, but through commitment during struggle. The world around her didn't change overnight. People still doubted her. Some reminded her of who she used to be. Others questioned why she was even trying. But their opinions no longer controlled her choices. She understood that their doubts reflected their own limits, not her potential. As time passed, her efforts started to show results. Small achievements turned into meaningful progress. Skills improved. Opportunities appeared. Nothing magical, nothing instant, but real. Earned. The kind of success that comes from persistence, not luck. She surprised people who had underestimated her, but more importantly, she surprised herself. What truly changed her life wasn't external success, though. It was the relationship she built with herself. She became her own support system. When she failed, she encouraged herself instead of giving up. When she felt lost, she reminded herself why she started. She learned that self-love isn't about always feeling confident, it's about staying loyal to yourself during hard times. There were still bad days. Days when motivation disappeared. Days when old fears returned. But now she knew how to handle them. She rested without quitting. She reflected without self-destruction. She understood that healing and growth are not straight lines. Looking back, she realized how close she had come to giving up on someone who deserved patience and belief. Herself. And that realization filled her with gratitude. Gratitude for the pain that taught her strength. Gratitude for the failures that built resilience. Gratitude for the moments she chose to continue when quitting felt easier. Her story is not about becoming famous or achieving perfection. It's about choosing yourself when no one else does. It's about refusing to let temporary pain define a permanent future. It's about understanding that giving up on yourself is the only failure that truly matters. Today, she stands stronger, not because life is easy, but because she is prepared. She knows that challenges will come, but she also knows she won't face them alone. She has herself. And that makes all the difference. If you're watching this and feeling tired, doubting yourself, or standing on the edge of giving up, remember her story. Remember that you don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to be fearless. You don't need approval from the world. All you need is the courage to not abandon yourself. You are allowed to struggle. You are allowed to fail. You are allowed to move slowly. But never forget this: as long as you refuse to give up on yourself, your story is still being written. And sometimes, that single decision is the beginning of everything you've been waiting for.